Goyle's cauldron exploded, showering the whole class. People shrieked as splashes of the swelling solution hit them. Malfoy got a faceful and his nose began to swell like a balloon. Hey guys! I am Charlotte the Starlet. These are my girls, Angel and Glitter. And This is my little boy Seth. Oh my god, I bumped his nose there. Sorry Seth. I'm sorry Seth. Anyway, today we're going to be reacting to Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. Speaking of apologies, I'm so sorry it's taken a while to get this video out. I have just felt so guilty about this. I hate that I have to say this again, but I just came home from the hospital, as you can tell by the wristband. But this time, not only did I have a sickle cell crisis, I also had COVID. Things got a little extreme. Like, I am one of those people who can end up in a pretty dire situation if I get COVID. Although I'm not 100% better yet, I'm still gonna try and make videos for you guys. So let's get into it. Since I am a mystery/thriller writer, I don't just react, I review. And the way I do it is simple. If I like something, I add a point starting from last video's total. And if I don't, I take one off. Right, let's jump in. Like a beacon of hope for those of us who thought the dark days would never end, sir. And now, at Hogwarts, terrible things are to happen, are perhaps happening already, and Dobby cannot let Harry Potter stay here now that history is to repeat itself, now that the Chamber of Secrets is open once more. Oh, okay. Chapter 11, The Dueling Club. This sounds good. Harry woke up on Sunday morning to find the dormitory blazing with winter sunlight and his arm reboned but very stiff. He sat up quickly and looked over at Colin's bed, but it had been blocked from view by the high curtains Harry had changed behind yesterday. Oh, okay, since I did just come out of hospital, can confirm that's accurate. Some beds are separated by curtains, not walls. Seeing that he was awake, Madame Pomfrey came bustling over with a breakfast tray and then began bending and stretching his arm and fingers. All in order, she said, as he clumsily fed himself porridge left-handed. Also accurate. Porridge on a tray is an option for breakfast. When you've finished eating, you may leave. Harry dressed as quickly as he could and hurried off to Gryffindor Tower, desperate to tell Ron and Hermione about Colin and Dobby, but they weren't there. Harry left to look for them, wondering where they could have got to, and feeling slightly hurt that they weren't interested in whether he had his bones back or not. As Harry passed the library, Percy Weasley strolled out of it, looking in far better spirits than last time they'd met. "Oh, hello, Harry," he said. "Excellent flying yesterday. Really excellent. Gryffindor have just taken the lead for the House Cup. You earned 50 points. Ooh. You haven't seen Ron or Hermione, have you?" said Harry. "No, I haven't," said Percy, his smile fading. "I hope Ron's not in another girl's toilet. Oh my god, imagine." Harry forced a laugh. watched Percy out of sight and then headed straight for Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. He couldn't see why Ron and Hermione would be in there again, but after making sure that neither Filch nor any prefects were around, he opened the door and heard their voices coming from a locked cubicle. Wow, so they were. Percy was right. "It's me," he said, closing the door behind him. There was a clunk, a splash, and a gasp from within the cubicle, and he saw Hermione's eye peering through the keyhole. "Harry," she said, "you gave us such a fright. Come in. How's your arm?" "Fine," said Harry, squeezing into the cubicle. An old cauldron was perched on the toilet, and a crackling from under the rim told Harry that they'd lit a fire beneath it. Oh my god. I can imagine that really well, considering the memes I've seen of actual toilets on fire. Conjuring up portable waterproof fires was a specialty of Hermione's. Waterproof fires sounds like a nightmare, especially to someone like me who has a phobia of fire. "We'd have come to meet you, but we decided to get started on the polyjuice potion," Ron explained, as Harry with difficulty locked the cubicle again. Honestly, I'm really feeling for Harry, considering that although I've never had my bones removed, I do know what it's like to have a really stiff arm, because like every time I go into hospital, the doctors try and get like a needle into my arm, usually my arm, and because my veins are really hard to find, the doctors fail to get a needle in more often than they succeed. When they do succeed, I have to do everything in my power to take care of it. I have to do everything in my power to take care of it and make sure that it doesn't come out of the vein, which usually means that from the second that they get that needle in, I cannot move that arm. Like, imagine having to keep your arm in the same position for 2 weeks to a month straight. That thing gets beyond stiff, and it's such a weird feeling when you are finally allowed to move it again. Like, and it's such a weird feeling when you are finally allowed to move and bend your arm again. Like, sometimes it actually feels painful, so I can definitely sympathize with Harry. Anyway, Harry started to tell them about Colin, but Hermione interrupted. "We already know. We heard Professor McGonagall telling Professor Flitwick this morning. That's why we decided we'd better get going." Oh, bruh. Like, how disappointing. It's always disappointing when you're really excited to tell someone something and they're just like, "I know." Honestly. "The sooner we get a confession out of Malfoy, the better," snarled Ron. "Do you know what I think? He was in such a foul temper after the Quidditch match, he took it out on Colin." That's a decent theory. "There's something else," said Harry, watching Hermione tearing bundles of knotgrass and throwing them into the potion. "Dobby came to visit me in the middle of the night." Ron and Hermione looked up, amazed. Harry told them everything Dobby had told him, or hadn't told him. Ron and Hermione listened with their mouths open. At least they got to tell him that. "The Chamber of Secrets has been opened before," said Hermione. "This settles it," said Ron in a triumphant voice. "Lucius Malfoy must have opened the chamber when he was at school here, and now he's told dear old Draco how to do it. It's obvious." Wish Dobby had told you what kind of monster's in there though. I want to know how come nobody's noticed it sneaking around the school. Maybe it can make itself invisible, said Hermione, prodding leeches to the bottom of the cauldron. Or maybe it can disguise itself, pretend to be a suit of armor or something. I've read about chameleon ghouls before. What are those? You read too much, Hermione, said Ron, pouring dead lace wigs on top of the leeches. He crumpled up the empty lacewing bag and looked round at Harry. So Dobby stopped us getting onto the train and broke your arm. He shook his head. You know what, Harry? If he doesn't stop trying to save your life, he's gonna kill you. Yeah. The news that Colin Creevey had been attacked and was now lying as though dead in the hospital wing had spread through the entire school by Monday morning. The air was suddenly thick with rumor and suspicion. Oh, I love that. The first years were now moving around the castle in tight-knit groups, as though scared they would be attacked if they ventured forth alone. Ginny Weasley, who sat next to Colin Creevey in Charms, was distraught. Aww. But Harry felt that Fred and George were going the wrong way about cheering her up. Really? Of course they would. They were taking it in turns to cover themselves with fur or boils and jump out at her from behind statues. Yeah, sounds about right. That's almost cruel. They only stopped when Percy... What the heck is that word? Apoplectic? I've literally never come across that word before in my life, which is kind of rare for me. They only stopped when Percy, apoplectic with rage, told them that he was gonna write to Mrs. Weasley and tell her Ginny was having nightmares. Meanwhile, hidden from the teachers, a roaring trade in talismans, amulets, and other protective devices was sweeping the school. Oh my god, there's an actual black market at Hogwarts now? Dude, at least that's another accurate thing. Like, I've heard that there have been all sorts of black markets at like high schools and stuff. And thinking back, there was kind of something like that in my own schools, you know? Except it wasn't anything as cool as protective gear. No, just stupid little toys. Like, it wasn't even good toys. Like, it literally just encouraged us kids to gamble. Anyway, Neville Longbottom bought a large, evil-smelling green onion, a pointed purple crystal, and a rotting newt tail before the other Gryffindor boys pointed out that he was in no danger. He was a pureblood and therefore unlikely to be attacked. Oh my god, what? I'm sorry. What kind of disgusting objects were those? And why was Neville gullible enough to not only buy them, but fail to realize that he's unlikely to be attacked? They went for Filch first, Neville said, his round face fearful, and everyone knows I'm almost a squib. Aww. In the second week of December, Professor McGonagall came around as usual, collecting names of those who'd be staying at school for Christmas. Harry, Ron and Hermione signed her list. They had heard that Malfoy was staying, which struck them as very suspicious. The holidays would be the perfect time to use the Polyjuice potion and try to worm a confession out of him. Unfortunately, the potion was only half finished. They still needed the bicorn horn and the boomslang skin, and the only place they were going to get them was from Snape's private stores. Harry privately felt he'd rather face Slytherin's legendary monster than have Snape catch him for robbing his office. "What we need," said Hermione briskly, as Thursday afternoon's double potion lesson loomed nearer, "is a diversion. Then one of us can sneak into Snape's office and take what we need." Harry and Ron looked at her nervously. "I think I'd better do the actual stealing," Hermione continued, in a matter-of-fact tone. "You two will be expelled if you get in any more trouble, and I've got a clean record." Like, she's got a point. "So, all you need to do is cause enough mayhem to keep Snape busy for 5 minutes or so." Harry smiled feebly. Deliberately causing mayhem in Snape's potions class was about as safe as poking a sleeping dragon in the eye. Potions lesson took place in one of the large dungeons. Thursday's afternoon lesson proceeded in the usual way. 20 cauldrons stood steaming between the wooden desks on which stood brass scales and jars of ingredients. Snape prowled through the fumes, making waspish remarks about the Gryffindor's work, while the Slytherins sniggered appreciatively. Draco Malfoy, who was Snape's favorite student, kept flicking pufferfish eyes at Ron and Harry, who knew that if they retaliated, they would get detention faster than you could say unfair. Harry's swelling solution was far too runny, but he had his mind on more important things. He was waiting for Hermione's signal, and he hardly listened as Snape paused to sneer at his watery potion. When Snape turned and walked off to bully Neville, Hermione caught Harry's eye and nodded. "Ooh." Harry ducked swiftly down behind his cauldron, pulled one of Fred's filibuster fireworks out of his pocket, and gave it a quick prod with his wand. The firework began to fizz and sputter. Knowing he had only seconds, Harry straightened up, took aim, and lobbed it into the air. It landed right on target in Goyle's cauldron. Ooh! Goyle's cauldron exploded, showering the whole class. People shrieked as splashes of the swelling solution hit them. Malfoy got a faceful, and his nose began to swell like a balloon. Goyle blundered around, his hands over his eyes, which had expanded to the size of dinner plates. Oh no! While Snape was trying to restore calm and find out what had happened. Through the confusion, Harry saw Hermione slip quietly out the door. "Silence! Silence!" Snape roared. "Anyone who has been splashed, come here for a deflating draft. Well, when I find out who did this." Harry tried not to laugh as he watched Malfoy hurry forward, his head drooping with the weight of a nose like a small melon. Gosh. As half the class lumbered up to Snape's desk, some weighed down with arms like clubs, others unable to talk through gigantic, puffed up lisps, like Kylie Jenner. Harry saw Hermione slide back into the dungeon, the front of her robes bulging. When everyone had taken a swig of antidote and the various swellings had subsided, Snape swept over to Goyle's cauldron and scooped out the twisted black remains of the firework. There was a sudden hush. "If I ever find out who threw this," Snape whispered, I shall make sure that person is expelled." Harry arranged his face into what he hoped was a puzzled expression. Snape was looking right at him, and the bell, which rang 10 minutes later, could not have been more welcome. "He knew it was me," Harry told Ron and Hermione as they hurried back into Moaning Myrtle's bathroom. "I could tell." Hermione threw the new ingredients into the cauldron and began to stir feverishly. "It will be ready in a fortnight," she said happily. "Snape can't prove it was you," said Ron reassuringly to Harry. "What can he do?" "Knowing Snape, something foul," said Harry, as the potion frothed and bubbled. Yo, that was such a good scene. Like, I lived for the action and the drama in it. Unfortunately though, that's where I have to leave it for today. If you want to see what goes down in the dueling club and when this potion is ready, make sure you are here for the next episode. I am right there with you guys. Anyway, for now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give the like button and the notification bell a little kiss. And subscribe to become a Starlet. Don't forget to follow me on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram and Patreon. I'll see you guys later. Bye!